Hey friends, we pick up where we left off in the last episode, talking with Amy Anderson and how her career changed after she had a child.
But then, after you have a kid, though, you can't be away like that. And I don't care what anybody says, it's different for a woman. It's different.
What's different for a woman?
Being a comedian in general, of course, is different for a woman. I mean, life in general, of course, is different for a woman. But, being a comedian is harder when you're a woman, but being a parent, a working parent, is any kind of work you do, I think, is harder when you're a woman, if you have kids. And I'm not saying that dads don't do things, or there aren't, a couple of dads out there who are single dads and who are literally doing it all. Those people do exist. But in general, I know so many male comedians who are fathers, and their career didn't change at all. They had a wife who was home and who did I don't want to say child rearing, but did the day-to-day while they're out on the road. I mean, that is kind of standard. But when you're a woman, especially, it's really is most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time it really is just, all about mom, And
yeah.
It's not common that gets replaced by anything else quality.
Well, I even saw a study yesterday that was, I forgot what the publication was, but the commute, even a commute for a mom, it's much harder on a mom than a dad, because they have a lot more things that they're thinking about, like dropping the kids off on their way to work, etc. Much harder than...
we're just, and I'm not knocking men at all. I just don't, I think that, and now in this sort of very modern society where we're all kind of much more comfortable with ideas of women working and being in more male traditional roles and stuff like that, we're really reluctant to admit that at the end of the day, we're still very primal people. And the male roles and the women roles are still very ingrained in us, no matter how hard we fight it. And men, I just don't think in general are wired to think about details the way women are, because traditionally they weren't doing the details. They were left the house, they went and shot the animals and brought them back, and they went to work, and women were tending to the details of the household and the children and stuff like that. And it's still pretty much like that, even though women are working now. And so it's a lot, and I kind of do it all by myself. Aubrey's dad is involved in her life, but we've been split since she was a baby, and she's primarily with me, and I manage all the details of her education. All the finer points are handled by me. It's a lot.
Now, is it okay to tell everyone who your daughter is?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So you have a famous daughter. Yes, a famous daughter, everyone.
Liza Minnelli.
Yeah, how about that?
Creepy. So my daughter is Aubrey Anderson Emmons, and she plays Lily on Modern Family. And she's just turned 8, and she'll be going in August. She'll be going into her 5th year on the show.
Wow.
And it'll be the 7th year for the show overall. So she joined the show; it's 3rd season. So obviously that was kind of a life-changing and head-spinning moment, and it still is. Over 4 years later, it's still kind of my dog right now.
And how did that happen? Interesting story.
It is kind of an interesting story. Well, who knows how it happened, but really, the Reader's Digest version is that my agent had heard that they were recasting the role because the little twins who played her the first 2 seasons were just not really working out anymore. And they just didn't enjoy being there on set, and they were unhappy. And so there were 2, and they were we quit. So they recast the role, and my agent knew that my daughter kind of looked like those girls, and that she was the perfect age. And she's like, "Oh, you should submit her." And I didn't really want to submit her. I honestly didn't have any interest in getting her into this business. And
wasn't even in the business at all at that point?
No, she was just a normal 3-year-old. She just turned 4.
Didn't even have a headshot probably,
earlier.
Right?
No, I had to submit her school picture, her preschool picture. It was really ridiculous. So, but I talked to her, my daughter, about it, and she said she wanted to try. And I set her up. I fully, like any good mother would, I fully set her up for disappointment. I'm like, okay, just so you know, they're probably not going to pick you. There's going to be lots of little girls, and they're only going to pick one, and it's probably not going to be you, but this is just to see if you like acting, just to try it. And if you do, then maybe you can try some more. But she was like, yeah, I want to do it. So she went in, and like Friday she was submitted, Monday she had an audition, Wednesday she had a call back to producers, the following Wednesday she had a screen test, and then that Thursday I was signing a contract. So
holy smokes.
It happened in 10 days, and it was, I'm still kind of reeling from the whole experience.
I could imagine.
And you never really get used to it. It's bizarre. It's really crazy.
And what's it like for you? I'm sure a lot of people, like, you're the light. You got a career. She has a career. I'm sure you've had to give up.
Well, my career's been ruined.
it has, hasn't it? Because you really
kind of, yeah.
I follow you on Facebook, and you're like the best mom. I mean, you're so involved in her life. You're really making sure she's a well-rounded kid.
I try. You know, yeah. I mean, I grew up in kind of a chaotic household. And if my mom sees this, like, it's no disrespect for my mom. Like, my mom and dad are like two of the most amazing people in the world. But it was not like, it was very like 70s. Like, it was kind of like you just sort of did whatever and you ran around the neighborhood, and we weren't very supervised, and we weren't, anyway, I don't want to totally get into that. I don't want to piss anybody off. But I mean, I'm a very different type of parent, and it's hard because, like, right now we hear so much, there's so many articles and so many people talking about the terms like being a helicopter parent, or are you a free-range parent, or are you this kind of parent? And it's like, what happened to just teaching your kid right from wrong, engaging them, paying attention to them, and disciplining them? You know, like, that's kind of just, and then, you know, of course, giving them love and their basic needs. Mm-hmm. Gotta have that Maslow's, right? Like, gotta hit all the areas of the triangle if you can. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like I'm doing a good job. I'm trying my best for sure. And I'm always kind of mystified because, like, people are always talking about how hard it is to be a parent. And, like, it's really not hard to know what to do. Mm-hmm. I think everybody knows that you're supposed to do those things. Like, discipline your children, love your children, provide for your children, teach them right from wrong, you know, the golden rule, all that kind of stuff. It's the daily execution of it that's hard. It's just the doing it, like, over and over and over and over and being consistent. That's what's hard about it. That's the part that's exhausting.
And I think also, I don't have any kids, the self-sacrifice, I think, particularly if you're in showbiz, it is pretty much all about you and, you know, getting gigs and all that. Where's the next gig kind of stuff. And then when there's somebody else that, you know, things really change if you do it right.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. Years ago, this is obviously long before I had Aubrey, I dated this guy who he had, when he was quite a bit younger, been married to a woman who had 2 daughters, and so he was their stepdad for years, and he's still very close to them, even though they're not married anymore. They call him, like their kids call him grandpa and stuff like that. Oh, cool. And we were talking about kids once. This is pre-kid for me, so I don't know what I'm talking about. You know, you think you do, but you don't. And I said something about making sacrifices, and he said, but you know what, Amy, honestly, he's like, when you love your kids, it's not a sacrifice. It's really not. It's just a different way of looking at it. It's not a sacrifice. And I would just like to say to that person right now, he lied. It's totally a sacrifice. It absolutely is a sacrifice, but that's the choice you make, you know. So, I mean, whether you want to label it that a sacrifice, but I've given up a lot. I've given up a ton.
I mean, because you're unbelievably talented. I'm not just saying that. I mean, it's just a fact. So we want to talk about your blog later on, because I absolutely want you to read the kind of things that she writes, and you can just crank stuff out like really fast. That's really funny. I mean,
it's not fast. I feel like I'm not fast.
I don't know. I've seen some of your things that you just come up with quickly. I mean, they're really well done. I mean, your stand-up's brilliant. It's really, really good stuff. So this is a tough question, but do you wonder what if I, you know, didn't have a child, what would my career look like now?
All the time. I'm thinking about it right now.
Really? I hope I agree. But
yeah, but not. I don't mean that in a negative way, though.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not one to dwell on the past. I don't mean it that way.
Right.
But I think that, you know, I'm kind of, I wouldn't say that I'm an advocate, because certainly I don't go like public about this, but I'm very much an open book about my opinions, my feelings, and my life. And you know, having known so many people, so many women in this business who've had kids, and what a struggle it is to be a woman in the entertainment industry, especially on the performance side, and to be a mother, and to try to really balance all those things. And I'm sure women who work in offices and who do traditional jobs, like, that struggle is real, right? And I think that it's okay. I'm so tired of women feeling ashamed of admitting certain things, because we're all just people. We're all just trying our best, and you don't know how things are going to be until you do it. And you may have an idea in your head of what it's going to be like to have a full-time job, or to have a kid, or to be married, or to get divorced, or whatever. But at the end of the day, everybody's experience is different, and you don't know what your experience is going to be until you're actually living it. And for me, I mean, I'm very open about this, and sometimes people are shocked, but I did not want to have a kid when I had my daughter. It was not on my list of things to do. Unexpected pregnancy. Long story, but let's just say... Okay, you know, anyway. So it was a situation where literally I had changed my birth control, and I accidentally got pregnant. So whatever, that's what happened. I mean, things happen, right? But I was in my mid-30s, and I thought, like, I was not in a happy relationship at the time. And I said, okay, well, I can choose to not have this baby, and, you know, life will just go on from there, or I can have this kid, and this relationship probably isn't going to work out, and it didn't. But my decision was, I'm like, well, I'm in my 30s, this might be my only shot to have a kid, who knows, right? So I thought, well, I'm just going to go for it, and I went for it, and obviously it's turned out great, but I absolutely, for a long period of time, really mourned my life, my previous life, as a child-free person, because life is a lot easier without a kid. And I'm not saying that it's better. I'm not saying that it's happier. I'm just saying it's definitely easier, though. And when life is all about just focusing on yourself, you can get a lot done. And anybody, like, it drives me nuts. People who have kids totally understand this, but like, you have friends who have kids and get it, and friends who don't have kids. And, like, you hear your friends who don't have kids, especially, like, young people who are like, oh, my God, I'm just so busy, I'm so busy, I'm so busy. I'm like, oh, you don't even know what busy is. Like, just shut the fuck up. Like, because I remember thinking that I was busy before I had a kid. But now I'm, like, that busy plus kid. And so I don't have, like, a husband or significant other who, like, pays the bills, or, like, I mean, if it doesn't get done, it's all on me. Like, if we're homeless, that's my fault. If we don't eat, that's my fault. If the rent doesn't get paid, that's my fault. If we don't, like, put gas in the car, that's all on me. So it's a lot, you know. But I think it's okay for women to admit that, though, that, like, they miss parts of their whole life.
Great interview, huh, friends? Amy has so many interesting things to say, and we're not done yet. We've got 2 or 3 more parts at least. You're going to enjoy them all. Next episode, really fun. You're going to find out how Amy feels about babies, and she has a foolproof method on how to take care of a baby on a plane. Keep them quiet. So it works. So watch, okay? I'll be posting that one up really soon. Meanwhile, thanks for watching, cool people. I know our meet, and I'm really glad I know Amy Anderson. Take care, friends. Next time. Bye.